Bonjour les enfants. I promised you I would do a little screencast on object pronouns. So I hope that this will help you, and I'm going to try and go fast so that you don't fall asleep. I snipped an image of the chart that is in your study guide. It's right here. And so I wrote a few notes next to it that I'll go over with you in a second. And so let's go over the chart first. So pronom objet direct. So let's go with the basics for French 2 students. French for honors, maybe it's a good refresher, or just bear with me. Les pronoms objet direct. What makes an object direct? Well, you're going to have a subject, le sujet, you will have a verb, le verbe, and then you'll have an object, right? It's going to be a direct object if it's directly placed after the verb with no preposition, nothing in between. So let's say, for example, je regarde la télé. You're watching TV. In French, you're watching the TV. And here's your verb. Here's your object, and you check for anything between. There's none. You don't listen to music, for example. In English, you would have a preposition there. There's nothing. So this is direct. So once you've decided that the object is direct because it's directly placed after the verb, you're going to pick from this column. Je regarde la télé. I watch TV. Yeah, I watch it. Je la regarde. And we'll talk about the rules of placements in a second. Okay, right in front of the verb. I picked la because la télé is feminine and it's singular. So what is an indirect object? You'll have the sujet again, you'll have the verb, and you'll have an object. But you know what? The object will be indirectly placed after the verb because in between there will be a. So you know that there's a few verbs, and we'll just mention a few that are followed by a in French all the time. Like you speak to someone, so you know that when you see parler, it's going to be an indirect object after that because it's always followed by a. Obéir, you obey to someone in French, and you telephone to someone in French, téléphoner à. Okay, so if I speak to my students, je parle à, I spot it right there, mes élèves, you're going to pick from this column because you spotted an indirect object with a little preposition. It's indirect because mes élèves is indirectly placed after the verb. There's a in between. Donc je parle à mes élèves, you think, oh, I speak to them, not them, to them. Donc, I'm going to look at this column. To them is leur. Je leur parle. Okay? Je leur parle. Indirect. Did you notice how they're mostly the same? Me, te, nous, vous. So the only ones that are different really are the third persons. Third person singular, this is him and this is her. This is to him and this is to her. This is them girls or them boys and girls or just them boys. This is to them. If I speak to them, je leur parle. Leur could be girls, leur could be boys, or both. Je leur parle. Okay? Now for Y, the most important thing that you're looking for with Y is the preposition a. So I know what you're thinking right away. You think, wait a minute, we just spoke about a right here and said that we would pick from this column right there. Ah, yes, but here a was followed by people, persons, persons, personnes, a plus people. Here, it's still a plus a noun, but that noun has to be a location or it has to be a thing. So people here, things here. Okay? Donc I'm going to Paris, I'm going there. Often, Y will replace a location, a place. Donc je vais à Paris, you spotted a, it's a location. J'y vais. Here we have a and a thing. I answered to her letter. I answered to it. You're not going to say lui Because the letter is not a person. The letter is a thing. So I'm going to use Y. I answer it, or to it, j'y réponds. Also, with the idea of a location, when you have under, behind, in front, at somebody's place, in a place, or inside, in, like en France, all those prepositions of location, you need to, plus a noun, of course, you need to use Y. Le chat est sous la chaise, so you think it's under the chair. Well, it's under there. Le chat y est. So Y stands for under the chair. French for honors, something a little bit more elaborate here. Y may also replace a clause, should it be preceded by a. Je pense à ce que je ferai. I'm thinking about what I will do. I'm thinking about it. J'y pense. So the Y stands for to what I would do. Okay, so a plus a chunk of sentence, a proposition, a clause. That's for Y. So Y, I want you to remember the preposition a needs to be there, or you need to have a preposition of location. Mostly it wants to say there, but it also could mean be used to replace a thing that's preceded by a, like the letter. Je réponds à salade, j'y réponds. Finally, en. Okay, so now let's go to en. Just like a was a preposition that was related to Y, should it be a thing or location, we need the preposition de for thing or location. So they're very similar, except for the preposition that changes everything. So for example, here you were going to Paris or you're going to France. Let's say Paris turns into France. Je vais en France, j'y vais. What if you come from France? De plus a location. You come from there. J'en viens. What if it's de plus a thing? Il a besoin de quoi? D'argent. He needs money. He needs some money. Il en a besoin. So en stands for that thing that was preceded by de. You need to use en also when you use indefinite articles. So that means if you're not using le, la, l'apostrophe or les, but instead using un, une, or des, so let me cross that out, and a noun, you need to use en. If you're buying the car, la voiture, you're buying it. Je l'achète, right? But here you're buying a car, not the car. So if you're buying a car, you're buying one. J'en achète une. So en stands for une voiture, and you're keeping the number at the end because we want to know how many cars you're buying. If you were to buy 2 cars, j'achète 2 voitures, you would say j'en achète 2. Okay. If it were something masculine, like j'achète un, je sais pas moi, j'achète un sac à dos, you'd say j'en achète un. Okay, so it depends on the gender. You need to use en also when you use the partitif, when you spot this partitif. So it's some. Remember, some bread, some meat, some eggs, du, de la, des, because after all, du is de plus le. Remember when they contract and turn into du? And des is really de plus le, so de is here, you just don't see it anymore. So if I say, je voudrais du pain, s'il vous plaît, monsieur, some bread, de was one of the prerequisite, right? De plus a noun, so it's there. I would like some bread, I would like some. Je voudrais du pain, j'en voudrais. Donc en stands for du pain. We're using en because of du in front, which was really de plus le. Finally, we're still with the idea of quantities. Here it was some, here was a, here you have really precise quantities. A lot, beaucoup, enough, assez, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1000, 2000, 100 millions, numbers. Peu, little, plusieurs, several. So when you spot the quantities like that, like j'ai plusieurs robes, I have several dresses, plusieurs robes turns into en. Donc, j'en stands for robe, dresses. And how many do you have? The quantity is kicked at the end. J'en ai plusieurs. What if you have 3 brothers? Let me switch to blue. J'ai 3 frères. Tu as 3 frères? Wow, c'est incroyable. Oui, j'en ai 3. D'accord? So the number or the quantity is kicked at the end, and the object, or the noun rather, is turned into on. Je vais okay, so that was Y. If going back to Y quickly, if he lives at his parents' house, chez ses parents, that's Y, of course. Chez ses parents, il y habite. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. What did I write here? Oh yes, I wanted to draw your attention to one thing, and I know students get it always wrong, they forget. If you spot ce, cette féminin, c'est, if you spot the demonstrative, or if you spot the possessive, mon mamé, you still have to use, you have to treat it like le l'aller. So meaning you have to use direct object pronouns. Where were they in the chart? Right here. So I know I wrote a few examples here before I forget. Example. Oh, I love this perfume. J'adore ce parfum. I love it. Je l'adore. Boom. Ensuite, using the possessive. J'adore mon nouveau parfum. I love my new perfume. I love it. Je l'adore. You see how it's the same answer? It's exactly the same as if you were saying j'adore le parfum. I love perfume in general. Je l'adore. Same thing. So don't get all confused when you see ce, or the feminine of the plural of that. Ce, cette, do you remember these? That's this or these. Or if you see mon mamé, ton tâté, son sacé, don't get confused. It's just as if you were seeing le, la, or les. So use the direct object pronoun here. Okay, so if you see ce, or if you see mon, the demonstrative or the possessive, same thing. Alright, so okay, so I'm going to pause now, and I'm going to do a second screencast, and I'll be really quick, and it'll be about where you put the object pronoun in a sentence. In the present, when you have 2 verbs, like nous regardons la télé, nous allons regarder la télé. If it's imperative, command, let's watch TV, and passé composé, and then what happens with the negation. Okay, so click the second one if you want to know more, and that's where the carrot kicks in.